Alright, you guys, ZFR back here once again, and I'm going to speak on the whole George Floyd and the protest situation going on, the riots, the looting, pretty much everything that's happening. The police and what they're doing during the midst of all this. And usually, guys, I don't speak on really serious political stuff here on this channel because I know that's not what a lot of you guys are here for on the channel. You guys are here to be entertained. You're here to talk about things within the entertainment industry and that community. That's really what my channel is built off of, and that's why I try to honestly stick to most of the time. However, in this situation, I just kind of feel like I should step up and say something here about it. And that's really a lot of that is because they had a protest here where I live, but they only had one for one night, and then after that we haven't had any since. They had us on curfew and lockdown pretty quick, so I didn't really get a chance to go out to any protesters because by the time I realized one was going on, it was being broken up by the cops and stuff. So yeah, so I don't really have any other way to kind of lend my support and stuff like that other than, maybe, I don't know, donating to any funds or any charities they have going on right now involving this situation. So I figured, why not just go ahead and make a video about it and give my 2 cents. And this video, fair warning, this video is completely my opinion. If you disagree with that, that is fine. If you disagree with what I say, that's completely fine. Everyone has a right to their own opinion, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to rag on you for having a different opinion than me. Now, I'm going to talk about a lot of different stuff. And I know right off the bat, and for those of you who don't usually watch me, my opinions can sometimes be a little on the more controversial side because I feel the need to speak my mind freely about how I feel about certain things. So I'm warning people now, some people might not like what I have to say in this video. But we're going to start off with the whole George Floyd situation and what happened to him. So there's not much to say here other than the fact that this is a pretty disgusting situation. Like, it should have never happened. I mean, there's so many things wrong with the video where we pretty much see the cop kneeling on George Floyd's neck for multiple minutes until he eventually passes out. I believe in the video he starts to bleed and vomit and stuff like that, and the cop just keeps his knee on the dude's neck the entire time. It's completely unacceptable, and we should never have to worry about that from a police officer. We're supposed to be able to expect better than that from them, and stuff like that completely gets rid of the whole point of having the police around in the first place. So yeah, it's a disgusting video, it's unacceptable, but sadly it's something that's been going on with blacks in America specifically, and even a few other groups, but mostly blacks, for a long time here in America. This is it's something that's not new, and it's something people have obviously been fighting against for many years now, since the civil rights movement, even before then. So yeah, that's how I feel about the outright situation. But there's so much about the situation other than that that's really messed up, and I'm going to kind of skip around here because I want to present my points in a certain type of way to convey the message that I'm trying to get across properly. So just ignore me if I leave something out and come back to it later on. But yeah, moving on to the riots and the looting. This is something I want to talk about for a good second here, because there's a lot of false information going around about this. There's a lot of really blind, in my opinion, really ignorant opinions going around about this. And this is the part where I'm saying the video might get a little controversial. So here's my thing. Now, the rioting and the looting, I do admit to some degree it's unacceptable. Alright? Looting these stores and stuff like that, that's not really helping anybody. That's not exactly hurting the government to a certain degree or whatever. And rioting and destroying small businesses and stuff like that, I don't think that's cool. Some small business owners work really hard to make their businesses successful, so I think it really sucks when I see those businesses getting targeted and attacked and stuff like that. There was an older black gentleman, older black man. I think he was a security guard. He actually got killed for protecting a store from some looters and stuff like that. That's unacceptable. That type of thing obviously isn't cool. But one thing I want to point out about this, and once again, this is where the video is going to get a little controversial. Like I said, this is my opinion. I'm not saying this. I wouldn't be saying this if I wasn't sure how I felt about it, okay? The thing about the riots and people who are trying to say we need to stick to only peaceful protests here, and some people, let's just keep it real, some people are against it. Some people think that, no, we need to take the fight to them, we need to push back. And I gotta admit, people, it's kind of hard to say that peaceful protest is going to be enough when we've had so many peaceful protests for this exact same thing leading up to this point. We've done peaceful protests so many times before, and it just has not gotten the government's attention. All that's come out of it is pretty much hashtags and stuff like that. It hasn't really made any changes to the police or the police force and stuff like that. It hasn't brought any changes within laws or within these different court cases and stuff. I mean, for God's sake, just look at this one. After the cop killed George Floyd, pretty much, they had an army of policemen protecting him at his house. I can't even remember how long it took for them to arrest him. I could be wrong about this one. Somebody correct me if I am, but I believe it was something like 2 to 4 days or something. They protected him before they actually took him into police custody, which is unacceptable. The dude's on camera, hard evidence out to the entire world that he committed this crime, and he's being given this level of special treatment. But some people still think that, there's a ton of good cops on our side and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, are there okay cops out there? Yes, but that doesn't really matter much when they're working with corrupt cops. It's a much more complicated problem than that. Like, when your job is to, count on somebody to have your back in all these serious situations, do you really want to be the odd one out? You know what I'm saying? All these different problems. Then you have other problems within the police force, like the fact that it only takes 6 months to become a cop, or at least that's what I'm hearing. I believe you can actually make it to being a cop in that time, but I know it's not a long time period to go through the academy and stuff. So, the training that cops receive, the procedures they follow, all the way down to the laws that do protect them once they get into court for stuff like this. A lot of it's a lot of it's really messed up, and a lot of it needs to be changed. And that's one thing I think that the protests are missing. They're missing a list of demands. Like, when we do these protests, we gotta stop just doing protests and, asking nicely for stuff. We gotta start demanding that some changes be made. Like, what I'm saying? We need a list of demands for some of the stuff I was just talking about, such as, better training for the police, more specific training and stuff. Obviously, I haven't sat down and written out, like, specific ones that I can give you on the spot here. I mean, I guess we could do that if people really wanted it, but you know what I'm saying? There's been plenty of suggestions already. So yeah, like that's what I honestly kind of want to see. I want to see people make more demands from the cops and stuff like that, and just from the government and how they're handling these things and all that. I personally think that's one of the key things these movements are missing. But anyway, back to the rioting and looting. You know, you have a lot of evidence that some of this stuff is planned out. That you have certain groups of people. You have some white people. You have some what people believe to be government agents or cops or whoever, you know, in these situations, kind of setting the protesters up. You know, they're placing bricks out in random places where there's no construction going on and stuff like that. They're out there, they're being the first ones to pick a fight or to break a window or something like that. Like, there's just a bunch of spooky, random stuff going on around that seems like it's all meant to instigate the situation and to make the protesters look bad. You know what I'm saying? And some people are just eating it right up. I'm going to keep it real. Some people, and one thing that's pissing me off about this situation is some people refuse to cover both sides in this. Some people just want to automatically side with the police and the government and stuff like that. But some people don't want to point out the abundance of evidence out there of cops doing really messed up stuff. You know what I'm saying? You have cops out here shooting people in the head with tear gas canisters, they caused a guy or a reporter, I think, to lose an eye. They're out here arresting reporters, specifically black reporters and black people, just for being in an area. They're racially profiling people out in the open. There's a video going around of the cops pulling a black couple out of a car for being out after curfew and arresting them when there's a white couple in the car right in front of them on the road, but they're not pulling them over. As a matter of fact, you have the woman leaning out the window, the white woman leaning out the window, waving and smiling at the camera as the black couple behind them are getting arrested, but the cops just aren't concerned about the other people. You know, it's just some really blatantly racist stuff going on here. Some blatantly, and even if it's not racist, even if you don't want to take it to that degree, and you guys know my channel, I'm usually the last person to go to the race card or whatever like that. I usually am. But there's some of this stuff that just can't be denied. Like, what else can you call it? You know what I'm saying? And even if you can't call it that, there's still a really big abuse of power going on. I saw another video earlier where, you know, a group of people were kneeling down in front of the cops. One dude in front, a black dude, was making a speech. You know, he's talking to the cops and stuff. They end up going over for no reason whatsoever to try to arrest them. You know what I'm saying? They weren't asking them to move or anything. They were just in front where the cops were posted up, had pretty much had the road blocked off and stuff, and they were protesting. And the cops went out and they tried to arrest the dude that seemed like he was the head of the protest. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. And it was a very peaceful protest too. There was nothing crazy going on in the video. And you know, there's just a ton of stuff like that. There's cops getting physical with people just because they're frustrated with them. You know what I'm saying? There's videos of cops beating people up, pushing them over. There was one group of a bunch of people, you know, sitting crisscross applesauce in the middle of the road, protesting in a big circle and stuff, and the cops just walk out there. And I believe, I could be wrong, but if I want to take back, I believe these are white people too. So you know, they're going all out on this with the power trip thing, and they just pretty much run them over with the riot shields and stuff and break them up and start arresting them. You know, it's definitely some abuse of power going on. It's almost like the government is flexing its muscles, trying to remind us who's boss, when it's really the people who have the power, who are supposed to have the power anyway. So yeah, that's honestly why, like, listen, I personally don't really condone burning down or, you know, destroying personal property or small businesses or anything like that. But I honestly can't blame people for doing stuff like going after the police precincts, or even, you know, going after some of the bigger corporations like Target and stuff like that. I'm surprised people haven't been hitting Walmart up. I'm honestly surprised I haven't heard anything about Walmart, but I could be wrong about that. I could have just missed it. But yeah, you know, it's surprising. You know, I mean, it's not really surprising, because once again, what has peaceful protests done for us in the past? Not enough, not a lot. And you know, you honestly can't blame people for going a different route this time around. You know, people want changes to be made. You seem to be ignoring them when they ask for it peacefully, so now they're going a different route about it. Then you have stuff like Trump coming out and saying, you know, the looting starts, the shooting starts, which, listen, everyone might have their own opinions about that statement, but one thing's for sure, it's probably something that shouldn't be coming out of the president of the United States' mouth to his own people. This is just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about American citizens, our own people, it's probably not a good look when you're threatening the lives of your own people. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But you know, there's just so much to this situation. And by the way, I know I'm bringing up a lot of specific situations. If anybody wants the links to the videos and stuff like that, or pretty much the videos themselves and everything, they're all on my Twitter timeline. I'm going to put my Twitter handle in the description below, and it's on my main channel page if you want it to. If you go on my Twitter timeline and scroll down, I've just been pretty much collecting a bunch of different instances of like crazy stuff going on out there on both sides, right? You know, I've covered some things that I think the rioters and stuff have done wrong and that shouldn't be going on. I've covered a lot of positive stuff about the protests, such as protesters, you know, actually stepping in to protect stores and stuff from rioters, so people can't say that, hey, protesters are doing that. And then on top of that, I've also collected a lot of videos of cops clearly overstepping their boundaries, you know, being really aggressive and stuff like that, and just definitely kind of, you know, being what I would say is part of the problem, and, you know, being the reasons, so pretty much giving the world a front row seat to the reasons these protests are happening. So yeah, if you want to see all that, I have a lot of it on Twitter. And yeah, guys, I really don't know what else I can really say about this. Like, I'm just kind of at a loss of words. Like, it's insane. I actually do have a little more to say. The one thing that's really surprised me about this, though, is how all of the racists, and maybe they're not all racist, but how a lot of people, you know, are just coming out and they're saying some crazy stuff. Like, I've seen a lot of people say, like, man, you know, I wish I could go and get my gun and go out there and help the cops out. I would pile up bodies in the street, you know, if this was my store, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like, just outright supporting, you know, people to go out there kind of like Trump and start killing people. You know, that's there's a lot of that going around on Twitter. So if you are out there and you are planning on going to any of these protests or anything, whether you're expecting it to be a peaceful one or not, please be careful. I also recommend carrying some protection of some kind while you're out there if you go. That's just my personal opinion. Please be careful because people are talking reckless, and it's the internet, it's Twitter and stuff. So you can't take everything people say too seriously because people just talk a lot and a lot of times don't back it up. But you never know. So please, 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 people, be careful, protect yourself. Take this real serious when I say this. Now, listen, I'm not telling you to do anything, all right? Not telling you to start anything. I'm not telling you to resort to a weapon as your first line of defense or anything like that. But I'm just saying, if it was me, I personally would not be going out to these protests without some kind of form of protection on me, because there's no telling how bad this is going to get in the weeks to come. I definitely don't think these protests are going to be over anytime soon. I think this is a very different situation than anything we've seen before. I know a lot of people are saying we've seen this over and over again and people always forget about it, nothing ever changes. This situation is a little bit different. Usually the initial situation and the protests aren't then followed up by even more examples of police brutality, by even more examples of police and officers and law enforcement overstepping their bounds, by the president saying the looting starts, the shooting starts. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the streets and cities in our country right now that we haven't seen with previous protests. And I think it's very important to realize that because of that, this probably is not going to end anytime soon, you guys. So yeah, I've just wanted to go ahead and get that off of my chest and kind of talk about how I'm feeling about it. Like I said, I know this video might have kind of been all over the place, but that's just because I want to kind of speak from the heart on this one. I didn't really want to type out a script for this or anything like that. That I just don't think this is the type of situation where it really matters with being 100% accurate and presenting everything insanely. I'm just really kind of this is a little bit more closer to a rant type video than anything. So yeah, overall, that's all I have to say on it for right now, you guys. I personally stand with the protesters. I stand with everyone out there and what they're doing. I personally can't stand by the law on this one. They're in the wrong. And listen, I'm not advocating for the riots and like burning entire cities down or anything like that. But all I'm saying is people need to start seeing changes. Like, we need to start seeing changes within the law enforcement and within the government itself. We need to see a major shift if they want this to go smoothly. If they want peaceful protests to be enough, they need to start treating peaceful protests a lot more seriously. You can't have a big peaceful protest, nothing changed, and then you're mad that people, take it to the next step. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about for now, you guys. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more great entertainment and content and stuff on my channel. Like I said, I usually don't cover serious topics like this, but I have a ton of very cool stuff on the channel if you want to check out and subscribe. But most of all, I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about this situation. Leave your comments down below telling me what you guys are thinking about, what your opinion is. Like I said, over here, we welcome people who disagree with our opinions. We welcome debate and everything like that on this channel. So please don't be scared to speak your mind and tell me what you're thinking on this. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you on the next one. ZFR out.